Welcome to News Point on Memories TV. My name is Ofonisa Basi. Drug trafficking and abuse is increasing on a daily basis. While some push, others consume. At this juncture, it is pertinent to educate the populace on the dangers of drug consumption, the punishment for drug pushing, as well as enlighten the teenagers on the need to shun drug abuse. This and many more will be discussed as we bring on board the State Commander and Commander of Narcotics, National Drug Law Enforcement Agency, Mr. Mohammed Sokoto, after the short break.
TV show, your social diary with loads of colorful events for your delight. We bring you step-by-step account of ceremonies, gigs, and social functions in and out of season. Memories TV show, educating, entertaining, and mind-blowing. Watch on demand 247 at www.memoriestv.com.ng. For advert placement or participation, call 080-3307-9639 or 080-6342-1183.
Welcome back. Like I said before, I have with me today the State Commander and Commander of Narcotics, National Drug Law Enforcement Agency, Akwa Ibom State Chapter. You're welcome to the show, sir. Before we begin, let us meet you, sir.
My name is Mohammed Malami Sokoto, the Commander of Narcotics and the State Commander of NDLEA, Akwa Ibom State Command.
All right, sir. So can you enlighten us on what drug abuse is all about?
Drug abuse can be defined in 3 simple steps. The first is when you use drug that is not medically advised. For instance, if you take drugs without medical prescription from a physician, you are said to have committed the offense or the practice of drug abuse. Secondly, if you take drugs that are prohibited by law, the drugs that are prohibited by law are cocaine, heroin, cannabis, methamphetamine, for instance. If you take any of these drugs, no matter the quantity of drugs you take, you are said to have abused drugs. If you also take drugs that are socially accepted, there are some classes of drugs that are accepted socially among members of the public. Alcohol is used in ceremonies, cigarette is smoked even in public places, and kola nut and other type of foods are taken that are socially accepted within a cultural setup. For instance, in Nigeria, there's no place you don't find where alcohol is not taken. There's no place you don't find where cigarette is smoked. Now, if you take these drugs that are socially accepted by the members of the public in excess, you have committed drug abuse. So you can see the 3 steps. 1, if you use a prohibited drug, no matter the quantity of drug you use, or if you take drugs that are not medically necessary, or if you take socially accepted drug in excess. Now, that's what we call overdose of drugs. If you take an overdose of drugs, you are also said to have abused drugs. For instance, even if it is prescribed to you that you should take one particular dosage in the morning, another dosage in the afternoon, and another one in the evening, and you decide to take, instead of one tablet, you decide to take two tablets, you have already overdosed, and that is drug abuse in itself. If you also underdose, you have also abused drugs. If you are supposed to take two drugs, morning, afternoon, evening, and you decide to take one instead of two, you have underdosed the administration of that drug. In that case, you have also abused drugs. So you see, there are many ways we can abuse drugs, and that is why it is important that we always engage members of the public so that we can enlighten them on what drug abuse is all about and how we can avoid this abuse.
All right, that's beautiful. What is the sole duty of National Drug Law Enforcement Agency?
Well, the primary duty of the NDLEA, or the mandate of the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency, is drug supply control and suppression of demands. This is the primary duty of the NDLEA, to control supply of illicit drugs and to suppress demand of such drugs among members of the public.
Now we have some professionals and experts, politicians, and even entertainers who do drugs. Can we say, or can they be arrested for this?
It's an offense to use illicit drugs, either steroids, because like sportsmen, they use steroids for what we call the energy or performance enhancing drugs in order to achieve successes. You have seen that in so many countries of the world, even if after several years, somebody is found to have used drugs to achieve success, all the successes and the glories will be withdrawn. We have seen situations where tennis players, athletes were confiscated of their medals, which they have won under dubious circumstances. And what was the circumstance? Use of drugs, use of steroids to achieve successes. The NDLEA was also involved in the past years in the screening of politicians to ensure that they are not involved or they have not been involved at all in drugs or drug-related crimes.
I said, is there any synergy between the agency and the state government? And what is your appeal to the state government?
That would bring me to the issue of cooperation with government. And because, you know, you cannot do this in isolation. Drug problem is a multidimensional problem and requires multidimensional aspect. It requires a lot of multilateral cooperation from government, non-governmental agencies, members of the public, members of the press, and the traditional institution. So we need to all put our hands on deck to ensure that this war cannot be fought by only an agency of government. The state government must be part of this important war. And that is what is lacking in this state. We don't have enough cooperation from the government in areas of funding of sensitization programs, in areas of funding, in areas of logistic assistance, in operations and arrest of suspects and traffickers. We do everything on our own. We are appealing to the government to come and assist us in the area of sensitization program, because we realize that sensitization program or enlightenment program is one of the most important factors in drug control. We are not interested in making arrests, taking people to court, being convicted. That will not ensure a drug-free society. But what will ensure a drug-free society is when you confront the drug war from different angles, from two most important different angles, because we have two primary mandates, to control supply and suppress demand. Suppression of demand is an attitudinal change, because you can be at home and take drugs. Nobody knows what you are doing. So arrest cannot help. It's only when you are arrested, when you are seen, you can be arrested. If you are at home and taking the drugs, it will be affecting you as an individual. It will also affect your immediate family and then affect the larger society. Now, if you have couples of people who are taking drugs unknown to them of the effect of these drugs, then we'll end up having a large pool of people with a lot of psychological problems, with a lot of physical problems, and with a lot of substance use disorder. That is addiction problems. Now, it's only enlightenment that can leverage on this kind of people so that they will know that what they are doing, it has greater consequences for their health. They are not doing anything bad to the government, but they are doing something bad to themselves, to their families, and at the end, to the larger society. And you know, drug has a symbiotic relationship with crime. You take drugs, you commit crime. You take drugs, it facilitates crimes. We have seen it everywhere. We have seen the upsurge in crimes even here in the States. We have seen the number of cultists and cultism right even in secondary schools of learning. And that is why we feel that the government should be readily available to come in, because other state governments or the federation are doing the same thing. So there are so many ways the government can come in to assist us. You can bankroll sensitization programs in schools, in secondary schools, so that we can reduce the rate of cultism, the rate of other drug-related crimes in the state. Not only drugs, but also crime.
All right, so before we go, a word of advice to your viewers.
I want our viewers to understand that the responsibility of drug supply control and suppression of demand does not rest squarely only on the agency of government. In that case, we need to put all our hands on deck, particularly parents, parents are very, very important factor in this relationship, because that mutual beneficial relationship between parents and the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency always work well anywhere. So it is important that parents come in to ensure that their children, you talk to the children before someone else talk to them. Because as we have said earlier, the children can take these drugs, can learn these drugs from peer pressure in schools and in other environments. By the time they get home and they start taking this drug, in most cases, the family or the parents always begin to witness changes in the attitude of their children. They see a lot of changes. You see somebody sleeping more than the required number of hours in a day. You see somebody coming late night. You see somebody going out and does not come back at all to the house. So all these are signs that you should look out on a drug abuser. So in that case, parents are a very important factor in the suppression of demand for drugs, especially among their children. It is also important to note that adolescents and youth forms the larger part of the Nigerian population. And in all states, the youth and adolescents are a larger population than any other age group. In that case, the parents need to come in handy in supporting the NDLEA in order to suppress the demands of drugs among these adolescents and youth. Now, one thing I want parents to understand is that if a child grows up in a family and he sees that his parents always quarrel or fight, the child will grow up believing that violence is the order of the day and you can get anything you want out of violence. If a child grows up to see his parents smoking or taking alcohol in the house, the child will grow up believing that smoking and taking drugs is a norm in the society. So the parents will have to be a role model of the family. The parent will have to be a role model to the child and will be the first institution for a child. And that is why you find that people who are, in this kind of circumstances are people who do not have proper upbringing, are people who do not have proper parental care, because parental neglect is also one of the problems that permeates issues of drug abuse, especially among adolescents. So I think parents have a lot to do, and it's important you talk to your child before someone else does. It is always good that when you bring up your child, you model the child, you package him, you can take him to any environment without any fear or favor.
All right, that was the State Commander and Commander of Narcotics National Drug Law Enforcement Agency, Akwa Ibom State Chapter. It was so nice to have you on the show, sir. We hope to see you again some other time. So thank you so much, viewers, for joining us in this program. That's how far we can go for today. For more updates on news points, please subscribe to this channel. Also, log on to our website, www.memoristv.com.ng. Please do not forget to like our Facebook page, Facebook.com/memoristv. I remain Ofonisa Basibasi, and from me is bye-bye.